Men, we start winning at 40. You start to build your network, to help build your net worth. I think from a health and wellness standpoint, you do learn to take it serious. The first date that you take a woman on, you want to guess what that is? What's up? It's your boy, A to the L to the A to the N. I'm Alan.
And my name is Nicole.
And welcome to the Howze of Love podcast.
Howze of Love is a relationship podcast where real talk meets real solutions. Each episode, we tackle the tough conversations around love, dating, marriage, intimacy, and so much more.
Whether you're single, in a relationship, committed, or somewhere in between, Howze of Love offers laughter, wisdom, and the candid conversations hot off the press about the everyday topics that make love last. Because in the end, love wins.
Okay, so today is a super special episode, okay? We are doing our very first birthday episode because my co-host over here is about to enter a new chapter. He is a Christmas baby, if you will. His birthday is right around the holidays. So we are talking about what it means to turn 40 as a man. I'm going to be interviewing Alan to talk about what it feels like to be entering this new, amazing era of 40.
Well, thank you, Nicole. But first, let me get this disclaimer out. I'm still a young tender.
Leave it to you to add some humor to the podcast. Okay. So everybody make sure you comment happy birthday in the comment section of the video. Send my co-host some birthday love.
And definitely make sure to hit the like and subscribe button as well. We definitely building a community of love. We definitely love to have you. We appreciate all the love, all the views so far. And with this being my birthday episode, I pray that the back half of my chapters that I've already written are even more fruitful than the front half that have been displayed thus far. I'm truly thankful. And, you know, it's a blessing to turn 40. A lot of men don't make it to see it. Some of my favorite musicians, that's why I have them in the background, all paintings done by Nicole. They didn't make it to see 40, right? So it's truly a blessing to see what God has in store for me on the back half of this life.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so I'm going to have my phone in my hand because I have some questions.
And I'm going to have my drink in my hand because I don't know what she's going to ask. I promise this is unscripted. This is unfiltered. This is real, raw, and uncut. So here we go.
Yes. Okay, so 40 is a new chapter. And regardless of what age it is, 21. But then when you get to 30, that's a new chapter, 40, 50, and so on. So I know it has to mean something to you. I know everybody, when you're about to turn 40 or enter a new decade, it's so many thoughts and so many things going into your head. So first we're going to talk about your identity and mindset as you go into 40.
Well, I think it's important to understand how far you've come, right? Because I feel like men, we start winning at 40. It's important to recognize how far you've come, how you've had to eat crap, how you've had to overcome difficult situations, whether it's living in your car, whether it's going from couch to couch, whether it's jumping from job to job, trying to figure it all out. So mindset-wise, entering into 40, being more peaceful, being more intentional, being more abundant with how you go about doing your day-to-day task, you know, drinking water more, exercising more, you know, reading more, really understanding what wisdom you can give back to the younger generation, you know, that's hoping to make it to 40. So I think mindset-wise, I'm all about what can I do to continue to better myself, what wisdom can I gain in order to give back, and then ultimately, what are my priorities that I need to focus on? Forget the outside noise. You know, we have a saying, LANK, and that's let a naysayer know. You can guess the rest. But let a naysayer know. LANK is one of those things where the times that you've made it a point to prove somebody wrong or to overcome an obstacle and overcome an adversity, you're still having to fight that fight even when you get 40, but you fight it in a different way. You fight it with your mind. You fight it with emotional maturity. You fight it with emotional regulation. So it's definitely different going into 40.
Okay, is there anything, as your mindset right now, as you're entering 40, is there anything, just maybe top thing or top two things that your mindset has shifted entering 40 that you wish you knew at 25?
Yeah. Focus on becoming a better version of yourself, right? In our 20s, we like to chase, right? Chase money, chase women, chase a party lifestyle. But use that time. One of my great professors in college told me when leaving college, don't buy the car for 5 years. And what he meant by that was allow yourself some delayed gratification so you can see the fruits of your labor later. So if I had to tell my 25, 21-year-old self something, I would say definitely set yourself up for the future and not spend or waste frivolously.
Think about more of the long-term impact of your actions versus short-term gratification.
Absolutely.
I love that. Next question. Do you feel men truly come into their power at 40, or do they simply stop caring about the wrong things?
I would say both. You stop caring about the wrong things because it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme. I think when you're 40, you're old enough to know better, but still young enough to do better. So you still have that wiggle room where you're constantly in a growth and evolving stage.
Do you feel like as a man you come into your power at 40, or is it more so,
And then also too, you come into your power because, as Unc once said, when you hit 40, you should have been promoted at least 2 or 3 times. You should have, whether it's, changing jobs or whether it's looking for greater opportunities to better yourself or to put your family, if you have a family, in a different dynamic. But you should be constantly striving to climb, not necessarily a corporate ladder, but climb the ladder of success. And I think by having those 20 years of foundational building blocks, you come to realize, like, hey, there's still work to be done. You can't get complacent because the newest thing is up and coming, right? You don't want to be in a situation where you're not up to speed with the latest technology, or you don't know about AI, or you don't know what GPT does or how the algorithm works. So you want to be abreast of what's going on so that you can pivot.
Continue to evolve.
As the changing marketplace continues to evolve.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned, like, striving for success and kind of bettering. So over the years, has your definition of winning changed? Because, Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. You can stop right there. I think, when you are younger, you think winning is the cars and the clothes and the designer and the women and the how many bad chicks you can bag, right? But when you get older, you realize health, peace of mind, close family, close friends that are there in the time of need. That's all you really need. We don't need to keep up with the Joneses. We don't need to live a lie. We don't need to live an Instagram lifestyle. We just need what God has prepared for us, right? We can't strive or be in somebody else's lane. One of the sayings that I've learned as I'm entering this 40, especially being in the dating world, is the first date that you take a woman on. You want to guess what that is? Where it should be?
Cheesecake Factory. Where should it be?
It should be bowling. You want to know why? Because that's the first place that you teach her to stay in her own damn lane.
Ooh. Okay.
Because when you get to a mature age, all that hooping and hollering and all that.
Teach her to stay in her lane.
All that hooping and hollering.
What does that mean?
It's
because it sounds like a level of control.
No, I think you said it best. It's a level of prioritization, is a level of maturity, is a level of emotional regulation, because once you get to this back half of your life, right, you have to understand that the things that you see, that's not meant for everybody. Everybody's not meant to attain those. Everybody's not meant to live a fast lifestyle. Everybody's not meant to take pictures in a Lambo. Everybody's not meant to get different wigs every week. Everybody's not meant to go to Mastro's 5 times a week. That's la la land.
Okay. I understand. I mean,
so stay in your own lane based on where you are in the market, where you are emotionally, where you are financially, where you are physically, so that you have more of a chance to build and cultivate with somebody. That's going to be more meaningful than somebody just handing it to you versus when you were in your 20s.
Say less. Last question around identity and mindset. So I know you're just entering 40, so you're not really deep into the decade yet, right?
Still young tender.
You're not deep into the decade yet, but what would you say, because you are, a grown man, right? Have a level of maturity. What would you say the biggest myth is that young men believe about aging?
That is old. That you're old at 40. You're not old at 40. It's all about mindset, active lifestyle, and what you choose to do with the time that you're given. Everybody's given the same 24 hours in a day. It's what you do with it. And I think once you get to a level of maturity, especially when you hit 40, late 30s, early 40s, you realize like, hey, I can structure my day how I choose to, and nobody can question me about it because they don't have a leg to stand on. And this peace that I've garnered for myself, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. So you realize what matters most in this entering this new chapter, entering this new decade.
Okay. Cool. And I was going to say, I think as women too, people as a society in general right now, I feel like the myth around you're old when you're 40 or even 50, there's so many examples of men and women that are thriving and just finally feeling like themselves when they get to 40. Like, as long as you're taking care of yourself, as long as you're only as old as you feel. So I think
Absolutely.
That's a good piece of advice for the young men out there. Okay, so next we're going to move into career, purpose, and money questions. And you kind of already talked a little bit about this, but let's just dig deeper.
Okay.
Was there a specific moment when your career finally clicked, or was it a slow build?
That's a great question. I would say it was definitely a slow build because you have to learn, and then you realize when you're a young African American coming into corporate space, you have to learn the rules of engagement. You have to learn the rules of the game. Then you quickly realize everybody, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, right? So you have to weed them out. Then you start to build up your wolf pack, so to speak. You start to build your network to help build your net worth. So it is it's a brick by brick process. There are times where I was grinding, having 2 and 3 jobs. There was times where I was sleeping 2, 3, 4 hours, popping right back up, going to the next job. There was sometimes I would sleep in the car in between jobs just to get a little shut eye. So it's definitely a grind. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie about that. It's definitely a grind, but that's worth going for, and what you're willing to work hard for, you'll reap the benefits and the fruits of your labor. Anything that you plant yourself, any seeds that you plant, cultivate, you'll see the fruit of your labor, but you got to stick with it.
Understood. So I understand it was kind of a slow grind is what I'm getting from that. But was there a point from, like, say, graduating college to where you are now that something finally clicked to say, oh, okay, now I understand corporate America or was it just little things over time that clicked along the way?
I would say it's little things over time that clicked along the way. I think when, everybody's a product of his or her environment. So I think everybody's path to learn different things, or their clicking point, if you will, where it all comes together and makes sense, it's different for everybody. So I would say for me, it's been along the way where I've learned some valuable lessons and I've gained some valuable experience by the people that I've surrounded myself with. The people where I didn't make it a point to question, I just became a sponge around that person, or I just shut up and listen.
Mm-hmm. That's important.
To put it bluntly, And then it got to a point where I was like, all right, let me stop complaining about it. Let me do something about it. So my mindset then became just shut up and do it, mm-hmm. right? I can't depend on anybody. I can't wait on anybody. Maybe the instructions were vague. Maybe the task was, felt like a huge mountain to climb. But step by step, I was able to get it. Reaching out to people, reaching out to different resources, mm-hmm. it became less cumbersome and more of, oh, okay, I understand how this works. Gotcha. Oh, okay. So those clicks. And then, just when you learn something, guess what? A curveball is thrown at you. It's time for you to pivot and learn something else.
I like that. It sounds like, from what you're saying too, sometimes with age comes experience, which is beneficial, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
being seasoned or being, entering the 40 chapter it has its benefits. It has the values, as far as what you've experienced. I like that. So we hear this a lot, but do you believe that men actually reach their peak financial status in their 40s?
So statistically,
Why or why not?
yes. So statistically, yes. Men hit their ladies. This is important. Men hit their financial stride between 45 and 55. That's just how it's set up, right? You've put in the work. You built your network. Maybe you've moved around. Maybe you've had to do some of the corporate juggling, if you will, by going. If they send you this place, you go there. If they send you another place, you go there, right? You don't question it. But there are times where you feel like, man, I'm stuck in this rat race. But again, you begin to realize, like, hey, okay, I understand the rules of engagement. I understand what's needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put forth my best effort. Let me, burn that midnight oil, if you will. Let me show up differently for that presentation. Let me put extra effort in proofreading a document, right? And I think those are the things that help, along with your network that you build, the people that you put in a positive light that you've surrounded yourself with in that corner starts to pay dividends. Because people remember, like, oh yeah, I remember Alan. He did do this when I called him at the last minute. Oh, I remember Alan from 10 years ago. He saved me when the company was going in this direction. Or I remember Alan, he helped me, during the holiday, and he could have been with his family. Those things kind of start to show themselves, and then you realize, like, hey, it's not just the skill of the man, it's not just the will of the man, but it's the character of the man that I remember most, and that's somebody I trust to run my organization.
I love that. Now, this next question, kind of, you hinted maybe this could fall into the question, but what sacrifices in your 20s or 30s ended up paying off later in life?
Oh yeah, definitely the eating shit, to put it bluntly, right? The grind, the talking or presenting in front of VPs and having tough conversations and feedback, and people telling you that you can't, and people telling you you ain't shit, and people telling you that you'll never ascend to this level. Then on the flip side, people singing your praises, but the opportunities or the promotions go to other people.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of having to eat that at a younger age, but it paid off a little bit later in life. Just learning from those experiences.
Yeah, absolutely,
and stuff like
absolutely, because
relationships.
It really puts a mirror to you to see what are you doing differently, right? You can't show up to anybody's job. Shawty, goddamn, I ain't doing that, motherfucker. You just can't do that, right? You have to be able to adjust, pivot, and our parents didn't send us to school or didn't entrust us to do well in school, go into corporate with our last name to represent them in a negative light. So you have to learn what's acceptable, which that's not my character. That's and I'm not shaming anybody for who choose to have that type of lifestyle or free will. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in order for you to grow, you have to know the rules of engagement.
Okay. Last one in this category, and I love this. You ready?
I guess. Getting hot.
If you could tell your younger self one thing about money, what would it be?
You spend it just as fast as you get it. So, budget. People don't like hearing that word, men and women included. You have to budget. If you don't know where your money's going, your money is going to lead you. And you're going to constantly be in a state of flux where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, you living check to check, you sacrificing this bill to pay that bill, or you find yourself, embarrassed, if you will, and then your friends coming in town and you're really short on your rent, but you're going to take some of your rent money to go hang out. Like,
it's just a constant cycle.
You have to realize you got to sacrifice now in order to gain later.
I love it. Love it. Okay, so the next category is relationships and masculinity. Relationship podcast.
Howze of Love. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, become a house guest. turn on the notification bell, all that, so you know whenever we post. And just from talking to you, I can probably gauge maybe your answer around this one, but have your relationship standards changed now that you're older?
Oh, yeah. The stuff that I accepted when I was younger, I ain't accepting that shit now. Absolutely not. You know, so it's different, right? You go through phases of life where you like, all right, it ain't that serious, or I'll let that slide. When you get to your late 30s and your 40s, you're like, you ain't even entertaining no BS. I'm not entertaining somebody that come up to me at the bar like pay my tab. I ain't entertaining somebody that say the Cheesecake Factory is beneath them. Hell, I ain't entertaining nobody if they say Applebee's 2 for $22 is beneath them. Because guess what? We're saving money now for something later. Because I guarantee you 6 months, a year down the road, you will appreciate that Jamaica trip. Versus going to Mastro's for $500 for a steak dinner just so you can post on your story.
Sounds like a real life scenario.
Oh yeah, it's a little might be a little trauma there.
Thank you for sharing. Well, I guess you mentioned that part of your standards when it comes to relationships and how it's changed.
Okay.
But what about looks in women and how you approach that? Because I know a lot of younger men are very shallow, right? When it comes to what the woman has to look like. Has that changed, or your standards as far as how a woman looks, has that?
Absolutely. I think when you're young and you're out there hustling and you're trying to get money, you know, a lot of times you're trying to get money because you're trying to attract the right type of female, in your opinion. You know, you want the dimes, right? The top of the lines. Cute face, slim waist with a big behind. That's Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones.
I'm Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones, the one and only. You can't clone me. Got a lot of haters and a lot of homies. Some friends and some phony.
But you want them, but they don't necessarily want you. They just want what you can do for them. So as you age, you realize I don't need 9s and 10s because that high price, those high priced professional women, it comes with a bill, right? It comes with, you know, can I get my nails done? Can I get my hair done? Can I get my weave changed? Can I go blonde? Can I get my eyebrows micro bladed or whatever y'all do? Can I get lashes? And it's a never ending cycle of you constantly pouring out. Remember, it goes out faster than you get it. So then I think once you get older, you realize that, and I'm just going by kind of like American societal standards, whatever, European standards, modeling standards, whatever the case may be, you realize when you're a humble person, a man of integrity, a man of character, you need somebody that's a strong 5, 6, or 7 that's gonna put some elbow grease in it. That's gonna get in the grind with you. That's gonna be there when you're sick. That's gonna go get you some soup or some crackers, you know, without giving you an attitude. That's gonna nurse you back to health.
There's no man alive that would disagree with what I'm about to say. You want a strong 7. Let me tell you why. 10. Fine as all get out, tat out, body, looking fine, everything like that, got it going on. Too much maintenance. Too much, because she knows she fine. And you're expendable. She could take you or leave you. A 9, that's a problem too. Because you got enough people telling her she's a 10, so half of them acting that way. And by the way, the ones that ain't acting that way still require more from you than what others might. And so you got to be up on your game. That's problematic. 8, that's ideal because that's really, really good looking. She got it going on. But at the same time, there's a level of independence that comes with it, which is never a bad thing until she's so independent that she's making you feel like you need to be more dependent on her than she needs to be on you. So there's too many opportunities and too much time that's wasting away where you're not feeling like that dude. You're feeling like a dude, not that dude. Here's where the strong 7 comes in. Looks wise, she can compete with an 8. But her mentality is not that of an 8. So she's more appreciative of you wanting her. As a result, she shows an elevated appreciation for you wanting her. Therefore, she treats you like she wants you. Strong 7. That's somebody who is an 8, but don't act like one. That's what makes her special. Those are the ones that are married. The others, long engagements, quick marriages and divorces, or just perpetual singlehood, because they spent so much time showing you that you were expendable that you finally looked at them and said, well, that's why I don't want your ass, because I'm expendable. You gonna dump me anyway when it's time. Why waste my time?
God forbid, when you're 40, you slip your disc or tear up something in your knee or have an Achilles injury. I dislocated my pinky not too long ago trying to play basketball. My cousin, he tore his Achilles trying to play basketball. We were around the same age, right?
Old people problems.
Seasoned veteran problems, right? We should have been in the NBA. But nonetheless, you realize, like, when you look around and there's nobody to nurse you back to health, those 9s and 10s on to the next one just getting that fast money. Mm-hmm. They out in the club. They in the VIP section spending $300 on a $30 bottle.
And who go out there and put your elbow into making a woman make sure she's straight and hard working and respectable, chest up, chin out men. And you really on the grind and you really got ambition, man, leave these little pretty girls alone, bro. They don't put their elbow in it. I'm going to keep it 100. Over there looking at, oh, she bad. Oh, look at her Instagram. Oh, she a 9, she a 10. No, I'll get you a 5 or a 6 who going to put some elbow into it and going to be down for you on some 100. You know what I'm saying? They going to look at you like, why he with her? Don't worry about why I'm with her. Because she going to do everything you ain't doing. 100%. And that's the new wave we should be on, fellas. Like, man, forget all that how you look when you with your arm around her. Nah, she ain't got no substance to her.
So you realize, like, dang, nice 5, 6, or 7 that can put that shit on and look good, look just as good, but she got the mindset of an angel. She has the spirit of a virtuous woman, Proverbs 31 woman. She has the know-it-all to multiply anything that you bring home, right? You bring home groceries, she make a meal. You purchase a house, she make it a home. Give her some money. Maybe she's better with the finances. She finds a way to flip it and multiply the finances. Just like Keisha Kayor did with Gucci Mane while he was away. She multiplied what he had. And, for him to give her $1 million and her to turn into, millions and some properties, that's what you want. And I think a lot of young men, especially, you have to realize in your 20s, women only want you for what you can do for them. In your 30s, you start to get a little more serious and realize, like, dang, she really ain't around me for the right reasons. The late 30s, early 40s, you ready to settle down. Maybe you have kids or maybe you're ready for kids. You're looking for somebody that you can build with, somebody that's going to be there to do the homework while you having to work late, somebody that's still going to think enough of you to fix you a sandwich in between your jobs, somebody that's going to think enough of you and it's not a chore or a task or it's not a burden for you to come home to a clean house. You want somebody that's in a true partnership realm, not just somebody that wants to take pictures or be there at the finish line once you've done all the work yourself.
Okay. Do you believe that men grow into better partners as they age, or do you think they just become more self-aware?
Both. You definitely become a lot self-aware, whether society tell you or whether the young lady that you date tell you or whether your friends that hold you accountable tell you.
Do you believe men become better partners as they get older, or are they just becoming more self-aware?
And then you do become a better partner because you have done the work. You have had the failed relationships. You have had to sit back, be brokenhearted, and realize, like, dang, why didn't that work out? Then you begin to look at yourself in the mirror, hold yourself accountable for the things that you will and won't accept going into the next situation so that the situation pays dividends for you later on. And I think it helps you choose better. It helps you choose wisely. It helps you acknowledge the tangible and intangible attributes about a woman that you're looking for. So therefore, it becomes more of a easier decision. And when you know, you know. And I think it's important to acknowledge as well, those failed relationships were just God's protection. Right? It's a reason why they didn't work out, right? So don't spin the block. Don't let them come back around. Back then they didn't want you. Now you hot, they all on you. You ever heard that song before?
Of course.
That's Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones.
Back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me. Back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me. Back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all.
But you have to realize that there are going to be times where people that tried to play you, that karma's going to come back. And when that karma comes back, it ain't going to be so nice. Right? I still got people from relationships 4 and 5 years ago still trying to figure out what I got going on. So, you know, and that's because I've always been true to who I am as a core. Yeah, maybe I didn't always have the money, or maybe I didn't always keep myself well groomed, or maybe I didn't always, talk eloquently enough, or maybe, my country twang or my southern charm rubs people the wrong way. But I'm still true to who I am, to the core, to my core values, who I look to become, and who I hope to be one day.
I love that. Yeah, they always come back when when you're doing well, and they see that, you're in a better place. So
yeah, you thriving well.
But I love that. I love that, staying true to yourself, because you know that you haven't switched up. You just elevated. So I love
Back
that.
then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, they all on me. You ever heard that song before?
Yes.
Who?
Mike Jones.
Who?
Mike Jones.
That was one of my favorite rappers.
Clearly.
When I was in college.
Clearly.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
8004.
Now 281-330-8004. Get Mike Jones up on the low, cause Mike Jones about to blow.
Oh, okay.
Mike Jones was hot up here too.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to health, confidence, and lifestyle, right? Because I feel like when you're entering 40, it's a new chapter, right? You have to be more conscious of these things too when it comes to health, lifestyle, but then also like, where's your confidence at? So now that you're entering 40,
Damn, why you have to say it so hard?
because I feel like people are going to watch this and relate. Like, there's so many people approaching 40, and they're having mixed opinions of how they feel going into the chapter. So, just want to emphasize
And
that.
I will say, for the record, right, in a transparent moment, I felt worse at 30 than I do going into 40. And if you ask me why, I would say I felt like 30 was a pressure point, and it was like a pivotal moment. And I felt like the weight of the world on my shoulders, like, to get it right. And I didn't always get it right. So I think that kind of led to some dark days or some dark nights, right? And you need strong people, strong alliances, and strong support systems to help pull you out of that. So I think, 30, 32, I would say, was kind of a pivotal and yet rough point for me. But I came out of that, and I'm still here, and I'm thankful.
Okay, and you slightly answered my question already, but do you feel more physically confident at 40 than you did at 30?
Hell no!
Hell no! Hell on.
I would say that there are some things physically, but my mind says that I can do them. But when I try to do, my feet and my legs, they don't necessarily cooperate. Like, it takes
Y'all
me
not
longer.
on the same page.
It's right. We're not on the same page. Like, I can think that I can still run fast until my son beats me. I can think that I can still play basketball until I dislocate my pinky. I can still think I jump high until I'm literally 2 inches off the ground and I ain't jumped nowhere, right? But I think from a health and wellness standpoint, you do learn to take it seriously, because you realize, like, stuff sticks with you longer and it doesn't take long for it to build up, right? So I think probably like maybe 37, 38, when I ballooned up to 240, being at 5'10", I was like, oh, I need to watch it, right? The closer you get to a 40-inch waist size, the more likely or higher the chances for high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, etc. So I went from 240 back down to 230. So I'm actively trying to get like down to 220, then eventually down to 215. So if I can get to like 210, 205, 210. I think that'd be a good sweet spot. But you're constantly thinking about that because you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm being consistent, I'm looking good. And then all of a sudden you fall off, and then those 2-3 weeks you fall off, it's like everything that you've done for the last 8 months has shown back up. So you definitely have to get in a rhythm and routine and be consistent about it and block that time off of you, whether it's yoga, whether it's Pilates, whether it's running, whether it's weights, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's, calisthenics at the house, whether it's, hip hop apps on YouTube, whatever the case may be. You have to block that time out. You got to drink your water. You got to take your vitamins.
Okay, I love how you're kind of answering my questions before I get to them. But my next question was kind of going to be, what steps are you actively taking? Like, knowing that now that you're 40, or as you approach 40, certain things weren't cooperating. Your body wasn't really doing what it used to do. So what steps have you been actively taking to try to get ahead of that? Because there are men who 40, 50, 60 still working out, still able to do certain things. So it's possible, right? So what steps are you actively taking to stay on top of those things? Yeah,
so I would definitely say getting a gym membership. Hot Works is good too. Being able to cycle in a sauna. Gym membership. Going to lift weights, right? Because lifting weights burns more calories even after you stop lifting. Drinking more water. So I'm more like during the week, I'm more like water based. Then on the weekends, I may drink some juice or have some Gatorade or something. But I try to drink a gallon of water a day. That's why this skin is so clear, smooth, like soul glow.
Just like your soul, baby. Feeling oh so silky smooth. Just letting it shine through. Just like your soul glow. Soul glow.
But and then I try to make sure that I'm just living an active lifestyle, right? And then obviously I have 2 smaller kids, so being able to keep up with them, that helps, right? So being able to play soccer or being able to play baseball, that helps a lot too. You definitely want to be having an active lifestyle because you're not doing anything. It doesn't take long.
It ages you more.
Yeah, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, agreed. Has aging made you feel more or less comfortable in your own skin?
I would say definitely more comfortable in my own skin, because when you get to a certain point in life, whatever that point is,
you don't care no more.
You don't give a damn. You don't care what people think. You don't care what people say. People can say, oh, you got a big nose, or your eyes a little, or you got bumpy skin, or you're losing your hair, or you got too much gray. When you get 40, none of that, you don't care.
Well, this is another question to follow up on that I didn't even have written down, but at this age now, right, when you look back, say if you find a photo of you in college, right, how does that make you feel? At 40, how does looking back on 21-year-old, let's just say 21-year-old you, how does that make you feel looking at pictures of yourselves from 21 in comparison to now?
Still a young tender. Yeah, but no, I'd be like, dang, I was that small, or dang, my arms are that long, or dang, I was 170 and look like that. So no, I feel more comfortable then. I think I had more insecurities then, because you can ask anybody. I was drinking a protein shake a day. I was trying to gain weight, right? And now here it is, how to lose. So that's just how life works. But you have to be comfortable and confident in your own self, right? Everybody's body types and everybody's genetics are different. So you just have to learn to accept who you are. And the fact that you accept who you are, there's somebody out there willing to accept who you are as well. But it starts with self-love and self-confidence.
Gotcha. Okay, we're almost at the end of this.
Already?
Almost.
This is fun. This has been good.
But
this is good.
That boy is good.
The next, might throw in a couple bonus.
Okay,
questions.
but before we get to this next section, make sure you hit the like button, like, share, and subscribe to this video. We want to make sure to get this video out, because there's other young men out there that eventually will cross this plateau, and that's hopefully something that the ladies can learn as well from if they've been with their man for a while, or they've seen their man grow from 20s to now, or even if you with a man that's 40 plus now, some of the things and the mindsets that we share, because for the most part men are generally wired the same, right? So
I do think that this is helpful because we do have a relationship podcast, right? And while this is more focusing on him as a man entering his 40s, I think it's important for us as women to understand y'all mindset in this era, how we can support you based on understanding where your head is at this point and kind of understanding where you've come from, 20s, 30s now. So I think it's really a beneficial video for couples, singles, women looking to date a man in their 40s and so on. So, and
I would say our biggest age demographic is 25 to 55, right, that watch our podcast. So definitely there's something for each decade, right, that you can kind of learn from. And again, if you have questions, we respond to all the questions or any of the comments that are left. So ask us some questions, or check our email out in our profile if you want to send us something for us to talk about in a future episode.
Yeah, or just send us a DM on Instagram at Howze of Love. It's going to be in the description box of the video. But if you want to, get in touch with us faster, you can send us a DM. All right. Now, let's get into wisdom, growth, and legacy. This is the last kind of category for today. What's the biggest lesson life had to teach you the hard way?
Ooh. There's nobody that's going to save you or show up for you better than you. Right? There may be people you can rely on. There may be people you can call in the midnight hour. But ultimately, you're responsible for you. If those people didn't exist, what would you do? And I think people have to realize you have to have a plan A, B, and C, and sometimes a D, in case things don't work out, or in case you get down to your lowest point, or the lowest of the low and you hit rock bottom. Everybody has. That's why I think it's important where in our community we teach financial literacy, or that we learn about it, because even at your lowest low, you should still have something to fall back on in case of emergency. Pull emergency device from here. Yeah. And I think whether that's burying money in the backyard in an old can, or hiding some under your mattress, or giving it to somebody that you trust that can hold it or grow it for you, having a mutual fund, investing. Definitely you can't do much in this world without money, especially with the cost of everything going up, cost of goods, cost of rent, cost of housing, transportation, etc. So that would be one thing. And then I would say another big lesson is, sometimes losing it all is not in the form of money, right? Sometimes it's in the decisions you make. Sometimes it costs greater in the long run based on the decisions that you make for a short term or temporary factor. I think you have to be mindful of there is a consequence. Murphy's Law, to every action there's an equal or opposite reaction, right? So there's a consequence to the decision that you make, good, bad, and indifferent, right? But you have to be secure enough to live with whatever decision you make. And sometimes you have to clean up what you messed up. And sometimes you have to live with that, until you 6 feet under. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's an important lesson to call out, because I'm sure a lot of people end up going through that same thing, experiencing that same lesson. So.
Yeah, but I think everybody has a chance to not punish themselves about it forever, right? And that's why I think it's important to go to therapy. I think going to therapy for me in my mid-30s did wonders for me as far as giving me a outlook on life and a kind of a 2.0 version of myself. I never forget, talking to my friend / pastor, Courtney. He made it a point every year at the beginning of each year to have a different topic for us to focus on, right? And now he's gone on to be married and have a successful growth in his church, and he's a positive influence in the city that he lives in. And I think a lot of our conversations, whether it was midnight or whether it was 7 o'clock in the morning or whether it was in the barber chair, a lot of our conversations help fuel me to be like, hey man, even when you think nobody cares, or even when you think nobody's watching, people are always watching. And you know, he could recite or say things or remember things that I've said in passing, or to him, you know, because it stuck with him for whatever reason. And each year he made it a point to kind of bring those points forward, like, hey, where are you with this? Where are you with that? So get you an accountability partner. Get you somebody that's gonna look at you and be like, hey man, stop doing that shit. Get somebody that's gonna be like in your grill, knowing that you can do better, right? But I think you have to get to a point, or that you, as you age and mature, you get to a point where you realize, like, hey, I can provide all these motivating factors, and I can help push, and I can help guide, and I can help motivate, but he or she got to want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Ooh. What does legacy mean to you? So in present day, what does legacy mean to you? And then part 2 of the question is, what did, if anything, legacy mean to you when you were 21?
Yeah, give me one at a time now. I ain't able to think like I used to. Give me one at a time.
Okay, so right now, present day, what does legacy mean to you?
Yes, legacy.
Going into 40.
Legacy is living the life that I want to leave, not only for my children, but what are people going to say about Alan when I'm in the box? What are people going to remember me by? What are people going to hold on to, right? And if I can say one word, if I can do one thing, if I can say one prayer, if I can be there in a time of need for one person, I've done my job in this lifetime, and I'm okay with that, right? I'm proud of that. There's been many times where I poured out more than I've gotten back, right? But in due time, I will reap a great harvest. I do believe that. But there are also times where you realize that I'm gonna keep it short, sweet, to the point, and what he or she chooses to do with it, that's on them. And you just gotta wash your hands of it and go on about your business. So I would say that's the first part of your question. What was the second part?
What, if anything, did legacy mean to you at 21?
I'll say the legacy at 21 was different, because it was more so of what I want my legacy to be 10 years down the road. Well, I ain't go that far. 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. So I think it's more short-term planning, where when you get in your 40s, you can reflect back those previous 20 years, right? And you can have more of a long-term planning.
It's kind of like life planning at this point.
Yeah, because most of what you've done from 20 till now should continue to improve. But I think as you go from 40 to 50, 50 to 60, God willing, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, you have different competing priorities where you may want to give back. You may want to see other people win. You may want to set the next generation up. You may be kid focused. You may not be as career driven, right? You may not be motivated to work 60, 70 hours a week because you value your time. You may not want a $200,000 job. You may want $100,000 job because you want more time to spend with your family, right? So I think it's about understanding where you are in that spectrum, what you're willing to sacrifice, because life does not come without sacrifices. You got to give up something in order to gain something. That's just how it is. And I think as you get older, you realize what you had the energy for, what you had the effort for, what you have the know-how to deal with, and what you have the skill set to know how to navigate around in case something doesn't go as planned.
Gotcha. 2 more questions. What advice, I love this one too, because I love this one. What advice would you give a 25-year-old man who feels behind in life?
Ooh, good one. I would say if you are 25 and you feel behind in life, you still have time. Whatever you feel behind in, write it down. On the right side, write down what you feel behind in. On the left side, write down what you feel like you want or still have left to accomplish. Set specific or what they call SMART goals, right? You want to make sure they're specific. You can measure them. You want to make sure they're attainable. You want to make sure they're realistic, and you want to have kind of a time to them, right? In 6 months, in 2 months, in 3 years, in 4 years, whatever those are. You're not behind. You're just learning. And I think people have to understand that. At 25, you don't know anything. At 21, you don't know anything. At 30, you just starting to know something, right? And I think as those increments of time kind of start to wither away, you start to see the shift and the evolution and the confidence build, and you start to realize that, hey, I don't like this part about me. Let me do something about it. Hey, I don't like how I look when I look in the mirror or when I'm just getting out the shower. Go to the gym. Hey, I don't like the way my skin looks when I put on lotion. Drink water. I don't like the way I feel after I do this activity. Go to the doctor. I don't like the way I don't know. I don't like the way my pockets look after having a big weekend. Go get another job. I don't like the way my finances are going out faster than I can keep them. Start a budget. Make a plan, right? And I think a lot of those things you have to figure out on your own first before you even start thinking about dating somebody seriously and or marriage.
Love that. My last question is a 2-part. Okay.
Give me one at a time.
I am. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. It's a 2-part. So the first question is, what is your goal, or what would you like to achieve in your 40s?
Wow. No one's ever asked me that before. What I would like to achieve in my 40s.
Have you thought about it?
I have.
Okay.
I didn't really put an age on it, so.
Okay, so yeah, in your 40s, what would you like to
Still
achieve?
a young tender.
What do you see for this era in your life? What would you like to achieve?
I would say definitely being more intentional with who I spend my time with, who I spend my time around, and the knowledge that I'm soaking up or consuming with the people that I'm around. Continuing to build my network so that I can build my net worth. Really focusing on long-term financial planning, right? Kind of set myself up in case, God forbid, in my 50s I slip a disc and I got to miss 2 years of work, or, or something else, tragic happens and I'm out of work for a while. Definitely focusing on health and wellness, because that's definitely important. And being more spiritually grounded, right? I think a lot of people miss that concept of, divine order when it comes to ordering your steps of life. A lot of what we didn't just stumble upon this by happenstance, right? We got to make sure that we are understanding where the source of our power and energy come, even when we think we dead in the water, or even when we think we are too weak to fight, or even when we think emotionally or we are drained and we ain't got nothing left. There's a lot of young men that are, having thoughts of doing something to themselves, or they can't bear the pressure, or they can't stand a breakup, or they can't deal with the consequences of their temporary action or that they did in an emotional state, right? But you have to own it. And I think that's where my mindset is as I enter in 40.
Okay, and then the second part to that, and my final before we wrap up, is, with that said, with that in mind, what would you like to see happen in this first year? So this time next year, what would you have liked to accomplish in your first year of 40?
I would definitely say this first year of 40, being more financially free, right? I definitely want to make sure that I get to zero debt. I also want to continue my journey of my fitness. And definitely, if Mrs. Howze is out there, holla at your boy.
Slide into his DMs.
Holla at your boy. I definitely want to be more intentional, which I have been lately, about dating and romance, because that's an important topic. That's an important thing going into this next chapter. What's that 5, 6, 7 gonna look like?
So you're looking for your person.
Yeah, I'm being intentional when it comes to dating.
So in this first year of 40, you're looking for your person.
No, I'm saying as I'm going into this first year,
okay,
I'm being more intentional about how I go about the dating scene.
Got you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ain't letting nobody waste your time.
Yeah, no, I'm not letting anybody waste my time. I'm not letting anybody tell me that I gotta send them money for a babysitter, hair, makeup, nails, to take them on a date.
What about hair?
I'm not
Is it hair? No.
No.
Okay.
I'm not letting anybody tell me that I can't take them to the Cheesecake Factory. You gonna like this Cheesecake Factory, or you can stay home and cook. Cause
are you buying the groceries?
Mostly I don't cook. Absolutely, I buy the groceries. Yeah. I'm not letting anybody tell me that I'm less than, or using those trigger words, or using that sign language, shame, insults, guilt, or the need to be right, just to try to guilt trip me to do something that they want. You know, those gaslighting phrases or words. Not doing that, which I hadn't been the last couple of years, but I think, literally when you get 40, is you don't care what other people think, and you don't care what other people say. I think when you kind of hit 50, 55-ish, then you don't care what you say to other people, right? When that's why you hear a lot of the seniors or the older generation, they say the first thing that come to mind, what you gonna do about it, right? So I think just in this first year, I really want to focus in on the things that are going to make me powerful and lead to me setting up a better legacy than maybe that I focus on the last 10 years.
I love that. And I wish I had some champagne for us so we can do a champagne toast, but I cheers to 40. I wish all of your dreams and goals come true, and that everything that you want to happen in this first year and in this decade happens for you.
Thank you very much.
So
I appreciate
happy
that. Thank you. All I want for my birthday is a big booty girl.
Okay, y'all. Make sure you drop a happy birthday in the comment section. But thank you so much for tuning into today's special episode of Howze of Love. We are so happy to have you in this community. If you are not already, like we've said in the episode, make sure you subscribe and become one of our house guests so you can continue to be a part of this community. Our goal with this podcast is to give singles, people who are in relationships, the tools to make love last and have fewer broken homes, because in the end, love wins.
Thank y'all.